guys, thanks for joining me for another video. Today, I'm going to sort of do a follow-up on my last video. So if you're following along, I am doing a collection series in which I go through all of the bikes in my collection. And in part 2, I covered the bikes that I'm currently on the fence about, meaning I'm not sure whether I want to keep them or whether I want to sell them. And as I went through that list, I kind of rationalized, reasons to keep them, reasons to sell them. And at the end of that, it really got me thinking about my collection as a whole and what really is my goal. And what really helped was all of the feedback that I received from all of you. Thank you for commenting. Some of you liked some of the bikes, some of you thought I should sell others, and it was really, really helpful to hear all of your feedback. But one comment in particular really stuck with me, so I want to read that to you. And that was from Danny Zulsdorf 3697, and he said, "I could hear it in your voice, sell them all. It's like the leather jacket in the closet that you love to death but haven't worn in years. Gotta move on." And that comment really resonated with me and really got me thinking, what really is the purpose of my bike collection? What should the criteria be for a bike to be in my collection? And what do I need to do to get really ruthless in making sure every single bike in my collection has that quality? So first of all, what should the criteria be for a bike to be in my collection? And I'm really focused on quality, not quantity. I do want to limit my bike collection to 10 bikes. So every bike in my collection really needs to have a special place to me. So it either has to have a special memory attached to it, sort of like my Bianchi. I rode that in Unbound. It has a special meaning to me, so it's probably going to stay in my collection. Or it needs to be, a bike that I've been looking for years. It's got a lot of value to me. It's maybe rare. It's got to be that kind of special. And lastly, it just has to spark something in me. I mean, I'll know it when I see it. It's hard to explain what those things are, but there's certain bikes that I just look at and I love them. When I walk past them, I look at them, I think, man, that's a really cool bike. So it has to have that special quality. So again, quality, not quantity. And I really need to take a hard look at every single bike and decide whether it meets that criteria. If you've been around bikes for long enough, you've probably heard the N+1 term. How many bikes is enough? Well, whatever you have currently plus one. And I really want to kind of challenge that thinking. There is a cost to having a bike in your collection. For me, bikes take up a lot of space. For me, all of my collection is in my retail space, so there's a cost to that bike taking up space versus a bike that I can sell. Also, we want to have bikes in our bike shop that cause people to come to the bike shop, look at them, find them interesting. So if a bike's not complete or not put together or just doesn't have that quality, it's taking up space, there's a cost. Not to mention the mental cost of having a bike. If a bike's not rideable or not where I want it to be, or it requires work, it takes up a little bit of mental space in my head, and I just don't have time or room for that. So I need to move those bikes on. And many of the bikes in part 2, they've been with me for a while. I haven't taken the steps to get them to the point they need to be, so I need to move them on. So bottom line is, many of the bikes in part 2 are going to be for sale. I'm putting them on my website. I'll leave a link below. You can check it out. I'm going to move them on. I'm going to sell them. When I do part 3, you'll see I've got 5 other bikes that are going to sell. And my idea is that I'm going to take the proceeds from those bikes, put it together, and go out and find some real bangers, bikes that are worthy of being in the shop. So that's my thinking, and that's my approach. And I got to that from honestly putting together that video and kind of then taking a step back and looking at where I'm at, and also your feedback and comments help. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. And lastly, I want to leave you with something that also got me thinking about this, and that is I found this book at a bike shop in Berlin. We were traveling last year to Berlin, and there's a bike shop called, I think it's called Vintage Steel Bikes. And they have a website and a really, really cool bike shop. I will leave some footage of that visit here. I've just got a little bit of footage from the inside of that bike shop, but I picked up this book in that bike shop. And this book features a lot of really, really cool bikes. And for each one, it has a page layout of photos and then a description and a story. So my thinking is any bike that's in my collection, I should be able to put together a one-page summary, beautiful photos, a beautiful story, and sort of feature it as almost a museum piece that has a lot of meaning to me, and it needs to be that level of quality. And maybe I'll put a book like that together, obviously not for sale, but for my own use, where I can flip through it and say, yes, that bike has a special place, and here's why. And honestly, bikes that don't end up in my collection, I can still have a great story and great photos, but it's going to move on. So I hope that makes sense. I do want to recommend this book. I think it's available to order. It's really cool. So check that out. But anyway, that's my thinking. Stay tuned for part 3 of my series. I am still working on that. I'm actually traveling this week, so it'll be another week before I have that ready to go. But I thought I'd jump on here and leave a little follow-up video that hopefully you found interesting. If you did, I want to hear your comments. What's your approach to your own collection? What's your criteria? How do you approach it? Are you an N+1 person? Have you come up with your own criteria for your own collection, and what is it? Obviously, it's going to be different than mine. We all have different circumstances. So I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. And that's it for this week. We will talk to you next week as we go through part 3 of our collection video. Thanks for joining.